from ESPN offseason outlook for every team eliminated from the NFL playoffs. Biggest for the Browns, biggest offseason priority. Searching for a solution at quarterback, Cleveland's decision makers have not committed to Watson being the starter when he returns from Achilles tear. $72.9 million cap hit. He likely will return in some capacity. Can the Browns find competition, a potential upgrade in the draft or free agency? All fair questions. That was before we found out the update to the injury. You know what? You can't rely on bringing in one veteran because you don't have. Is Jameis Winston a guy coming back? I don't know. I would search wide and far, and I'd bring in a couple of guys who've been in the league a couple of years, a guy that hasn't gotten a shot. And these are just random names. Kirk Cousins, bring in Justin Fields. If the Steelers want to move on from Russell Wilson, take a look at him. You have to have a number of opportunities and candidates, hoping that one of them, right time, right place.
I agree with that. And I do think the Watson injury news today, even though it's still nebulous, could lead to the Browns not even considering him, right? We heard talk about he's going to compete, and we knew he was coming back because of the money they owe him, and you expected him to take up one of those three quarterback spots. Let's say that's off the table. So then it leaves it wide open. Yes, DTR comes back, at least in training camp, just because he's under contract for 2 more years. Winston, I think, played his way out of town. So to me, it's wide open. And I think you pair at least one veteran, but you're right, probably two, with a draft pick. And that draft pick doesn't have to be number 2. It could be second round. It could be third round. But you have a young guy, at least you think has a chance. And then you pair him with, like you said, maybe it's Kirk Cousins, whoever that guy is. Maybe Derek Carr comes free, what have you. What I think's interesting is you threw Justin Fields in there, and I really liked him last year coming out of Chicago. Then he goes to Pittsburgh and he gets benched, and I kind of soured on him a bit. My point is, if you're going back to the Stefanski scheme, then you need a quarterback that is fluent in that, and you're not trying to force a running quarterback to read the defense and to sit in the pocket. So I think you have to be careful with all these evaluations, free agency, trade, draft, is to find the quarterbacks that fit what the Browns are going to do. And I'm assuming that's going to be go back to that Stefanski thing. And if it is, then you got to find the guys that fit. So you have the right guys in the room. If one of them gets hurt, whatever, it's not switching back and forth between styles of quarterback.
Fair enough. Absolutely fair. This is also from that same article, under the radar priority in the offseason for the Browns. Overhaul an offensive line that regressed in 2024. Jedrick Wills Jr., 2020 first-round pick, free agent. Joel Bitonio, 33, pondering retirement. Teller, Posick, Conklin, no guaranteed money remaining on their contracts. The line played a little bit better later in the year. I liked Conklin. I thought Conklin was good. The question is, can he stay healthy? But yeah, the offensive line got old, and offensive lines never age gracefully in the NFL. Those guys get the crap beat out of them every snap.
Yeah, I did think there was an uptick toward the end of the year when the guys got healthy, when things were more stable. They need a left tackle, and we talked about DeJuan Jones. I think the way you approach it is you bring back Conklin, and you probably have to rework his contract, but you bring back Conklin, you have DeJuan Jones, and you draft a left tackle and say those are the 3 guys for 2 spots. And we talked about it so much last year, thinking it was Conklin, Wills, and Jones, and then none of them wind up playing for a while, right? So 3 for 2 makes sense to me. And if DeJuan Jones winds up being in great shape and healthy and is the stud, then that's fine. And you put him at right tackle and you figure that out later or whatever. But I would still draft the left tackle high. And then, you hope Joe Bitonio comes back because I still think he was playing well. You bring back Wyatt Teller. You figure out center. I thought Ethan Posick regressed some this year, so you could see a change there. And I would also say that if they do go back to that wide scheme like we talked about earlier, then you probably see better performances from Wyatt Teller and Joe Bitonio and even Ethan Posick. Those guys are at their best in that scheme. And maybe part of this is, okay, let's see if we can maximize those guys again with this scheme as opposed to overhauling the roster, you overhaul the scheme instead.